Federal Reserve Chairman Powell shares a few new economic projections. Attacks on Teslas in dealerships continue as prominent Democrats celebrate its turmoil. And the country gears up for more executive orders and court freezes. I'm Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. The stock market rose yesterday after the Federal Reserve announced that it would not be changing interest rates, neither raising them nor lowering them. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell shared a few new economic projections, suggesting that unemployment numbers might rise a little bit, suggested also that inflation was likely to go up just a little bit. He attributed this to the expected tariffs and those already on the books.
How much of the higher inflation forecast for this year is due to tariffs? And since the policy path remains the same, are you effectively reading this as a one-time price level shock?
Okay, so how much of it is tariff? So let me say that it is going to be very difficult to have a precise assessment of how much of inflation is coming from tariffs and from other, and that's already the case. You may have seen that goods inflation moved up pretty significantly in the first 2 months of the year. Trying to track that back to actual tariff increases, given what was tariffed and what was not, very, very challenging. So some of it, the answer is clearly some of it. A good part of it is coming from tariffs, but we'll be working, and so will other forecasters, to try to find the best possible way to separate non-tariff inflation from tariff inflation.
While the Federal Reserve did also lower their GDP, gross domestic product, growth projections over the next couple of months, the chairman was asked about what was expected regarding a recession, considering rumors that had been floated about because of the volatility of the stock market over the last couple of weeks. Here's Chairman Powell's response.
Yesterday, the UCLA Anderson forecast said there's high probability of a recession. Where do you stand on whether or not the slowdown you're seeing creates a higher probability or concern that you may have on recession? Thank you.
You know, there's always an unconditional possibility of a recession. It might be broadly in the range of 1 in 4 at any time. If you look back through the years, it could be within 12 months, a 1 in 4 chance of a recession. So the question is whether this current situation, those possibilities are elevated. I will say this. We don't make such a forecast. If you look at outside forecasts, forecasters have generally raised, a number of them have raised their possibility of a recession somewhat, but still at relatively moderate levels, still in the region of the traditional, because they were extremely low. If you go back 2 months, people were saying that the likelihood of a recession was extremely low. So has moved up, but it's not high.
The volatility of the stock market has also affected Elon Musk's Tesla, the electric vehicle auto manufacturing company that has also become a target point for domestic terrorism after cases around the country developed of firebombed charging stations, dealerships, cars being scratched, attacked, vandalized in various ways. One report from the Daily Caller cites that 3 of the 4 alleged Tesla facility and charger vandals appear to identify as transgender or non-binary. The alleged perpetrators of different Tesla properties currently identify as transgender, cross-dress, or go by she/they pronouns. Political pundits like Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project released articles which had headlines like "Save America, Kill Tesla," with a picture of a Tesla Cybertruck on fire, as well as late-night host Jimmy Kimmel doing kind of a weird pause when telling people in a tongue-in-cheek way not to vandalize Teslas.
Vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles, please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so
Democrat Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, also the failed vice presidential candidate in 2024, made an interesting statement about things that brought him joy, mainly being the falling of Tesla stock prices.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you.
The Minnesota governor has also drawn criticism for suggesting that he could take on any Trump supporter in physical combat.
How do you fight it?
This
I
notion
think
of
I could kick most of their ass. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can outrun them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
Speaking of Democratic leadership and the potential bench for 2028 from the left side of the aisle, we sat down with Jim Path from the Conservative Caucus to discuss the internal Democrat civil war, what's going on, and where the party looks to move from its present state. Check it out.
And when it comes to AOC and Jasmine Crockett, I mean, they're so young, they don't quite have the experience in either of their cases to be able to take over a party, much less the demeanor and they certainly can't win. But listen, what we have to do in response to this as conservatives, as constitutionalists, is to be good at our own game. This is why Republicans, in my opinion, have a reputation for snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat, because they're not good at their own game. They don't try to do well at their own game. This is a real phenomenon of Donald Trump. He's always trying to be good at his game. And you can argue about how good in this area or whether you like that
or what game he's trying to be good at or something like that.
That's right. But he's good at what he does because he is relentless. He is determined. He's got his ideas. He understands them well. He knows what he wants to say about them. And he also has judgment in terms of how much do I want to say or how far do I want to go. He actually makes those considerations. And again, you can argue how much you like them or not. The fact that he just takes the time to do that, to put that effort into it, is a real positive. Republicans have sucked at that. Barack Obama wasn't the worst politician in the world. He was actually, I'd give him about a B as a politician. And he did bring some central planning into what they were doing in an aggressive, evil way, because he was implementing community organizer crap, most of which we're seeing Elon Musk reveal right now that got into the government. So you had leadership there. They have none. There is no leadership right now in the Democrat Party. And I'm not exaggerating to say that. There was a recent poll and of people that got no more than 10%, there are about 15 of them. There is no leader. And the very number one person that Democrats thought were their leader was AOC. She got 10%, but they don't have leadership right now. There's no rudder to the system at present. So they're kind of trying to figure their way. And again, I don't see how they pick it up quickly enough by 2026, but I've also seen that happen when it surprised me on both sides. So we just have to keep our eyes out. They're not going to find a good leader, though, quickly. Gavin Newsom is making a pitch at that by doing his podcast and trying to seem all reasonable, which he's an unreasonable, selfish person. But he's trying to do it. Tim Walz now is making his big push. That's not going to be successful because he sounds stupid as anything.
President Trump is also keeping quite busy. After a call with President Zelensky of Ukraine, which both described as very positive, the President of the United States halted $175 million in funding to the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, over the university's decision to continue allowing transgender individuals to compete in the opposite biological sex sport. This is in violation of Title IX and therefore puts funding from the federal government to that university in jeopardy. Speaking of education, the president is expected to sign an executive order attempting to dismantle the Federal Department of Education later today. It's unclear whether or not an executive order will be enough to dismantle the Department of Education. There are a couple of bills circulating down on the floor of the House that might codify or, from the perspective of Congress, remove the Federal Department of Education from its present capacity. One can be sure of one thing, though. I'm sure a federal judge is already preparing some kind of injunction, freeze, or stay to keep the Federal Department of Education open until a Supreme Court ruling follows pretty soon after. Before you go, check the description to make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett Cast, and join us tonight at 7 p.m. where we dig through more of the nonsense that never seems to stop in our present news cycle. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Tony Kinnett with the Daily Signal, and this has been our Top News in 10. Take care.